Yo, what's up fam? Today, another Supra video, and let me show you what we'll be installing today so we can finish this project up and get to remote tuning, which will not be in this video, but soon. Wow! Booyah! Good! We got some extra components that we got to install today. First and most important component is this here. This is a clutch master cylinder. I spent about 2 hours trying to bleed it, come to the conclusion that we just need to replace it. So we're gonna talk about how we're gonna do that today. Of course, we're using a Toyota verified brand, which is AEM. They make a lot of good products. This is what it comes with. We also decided to go ahead and replace the stock line. The stock line is like a rubber line, basically looks identical to a brake line. And just like when you replace a soft black brake line with a steel braided one, it increases the pedal feel for brakes. The same thing with this clutch line. It should give us a little bit more of a tighter feel. And basically, make a long story short, it makes you feel more connected when you engage the clutch. We got here another low dollar motorsports part. Let's open it up. I mean, I love this dude, Jason Dollar from Low Dollar Motorsports, because I mean, you look all over the internet, if you're in the car scene, this dude make a good product. He specializes in sensors and transducers, and man, for the price, you can't beat it. The packaging is awesome. This is what it looks like. This is a 0 to 100 PSI transducer. It comes with the data sheet, which is the information that you're gonna input into your standalone. We are using the AEM Infiniti. So all we gotta do is wire this up, wire the signal wire in, tell the ECU which wire to read from, and then all we gotta do is input this voltage, here we go, 100 PSI, and all we gotta do is input all this voltage in the table. You got that 15 horsepower sticker, and if you're an alcoholic, bye y'all. I'm not an alcoholic, I just had this here from last night because the boys came over. Now you got you a little koozie to put your junk in case your hand get cold. I'm trying to do my best as far as laying out all the items that we will probably need. These are not all the items, but this is a general, kind of like a general deal of what we're gonna be probably using. We got a couple of pliers. I know this is meant for cutting wire, but I'm not gonna put that much pressure on it. But just in case, we got some long ones with that slight angle on it. 1/4 inch ratchet. We will need a 12 millimeter with a couple of extensions on it. I think between this extension, this reducer, I'll be able to get the bolts out, which will be the nuts on the other side of this. And then of course you need some kind of tool to measure your free play or whatnot. So we got a tape measure, and then we also got our dial caliper because they are saying that they want it to be done in millimeters. And our dial caliper does inches and millimeters. And I can't forget this either. This is a crow's foot. I didn't know nothing about this junk back in the day until I worked at Honda. And one of my guys, he showed me what a crow's foot was, and I thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. So we will be using a 10 millimeter crow's foot, but we are gonna need this to take off the brake line. And then you don't necessarily have to have this, but you're gonna need a way to get the fluid out of this. And this is just a little neat, cheap tool that I got from Harbor Freight. It does require an air compressor. So if you don't have an air compressor, you can use like a daggone turkey baster or some sort. But we're gonna use this to get the fluid out of the clutch master. And then here's a couple of pig mats. There's one mat that I cut in half, and this is what we're gonna use to help catch the brake fluid so that we don't make a mess, because brake fluid will take the paint right off of your car. It's almost like skinning your knee and getting the meat knocked right off your kneecap. So let's go ahead and start the project. For those that ain't never done this before, like myself, a little added piece of information You cannot pull this thing through, or at least I couldn't get it through with this attached to the end of it. So I had to crawl back in there, get upside down, and break this thing loose. So there's one more item that I want to show you, another tool that you're gonna need. Let me go grab it real quick. I don't know the name of it, but this little bitty small tool, actually I got one out of the assortment. Let me show you the rest of them. This is the rest of them. They're fittings that screw into a brake or clutch master cylinder. It got a little hose. And make a long story short, you screw this into this top port, which is right here. Screw that in that top port, and then the hose is gonna go inside of here. You're gonna fill this up, and then when you pump this, what's gonna happen is you're gonna end up bleeding air out of it. If you don't wanna go to the parts store and grab this tool here, I always keep stuff hanging around to the side. This is like an old brake line. It's actually the same thread pitch, so you can screw this end in, for example, or screw that end in, and then when you slide it back, you can put like a little hose or something like that on there, and then do the same thing. Either way, you get the job done. And that little blue fitting is plastic, so you want to make sure you tighten it up and you want to bottom it out. You ain't got to like hit that mode like you daggone putting on the lug nut nothing. And then real quick, I got that 112mm nut on this side, the easiest one. But let me show you how to get the nut on that back side. This is kind of like a trick that I learned over the years. Let me show you. Hey, ignore the gloss on my forehead, man. It's about to rain in North Carolina, man. This humidity it ain't as bad as Florida, but it's close. Take you the socket that you're gonna use. I got a little piece of towel right here. You can use notebook paper. You can use some underwear. It don't even matter. Just put it in there like that and then stuff that in, and look how good that sits in there. That joker ain't coming out. This will help you anytime you got to like stretch something real long out and try to get it threaded and you scared you're gonna drop that joker and lose it forever. This trick right here will save the day. I call this the good. All right, fam, now that we have that installed, it's all tightened up. Of course, this is loose just because it always stays loose, but the inside is tightened up. Now we need to jack the car up so that we can install our final clutch component or clutch fluid component. And then after we install this, we can go ahead and top off the fluid, and I'll show you guys how to bleed the clutch master cylinder. Attention to detail, little tip. These things are usually concaved, but when you install them, they kind of flatten out a little more. So I'm gonna show you how to get that concave back. Do something like that. Take you something like a little extension, like this. Wow, look at that. Look at that trick right there. Wow. That mug got that extra concave on it. All right, there we go. That's more like it. That C-clip is on the back side. There's another little groove on this side that I tap that in. Look how stationary that is. I'm gonna knock that one out, tighten these up, then we're gonna go ahead and bleed it. All right, this is the time where we're ready to put brake fluid, aka clutch fluid, into this system. Now we're ready to fill this up. Now all we gotta do is submerge that into there. And then again, the cool thing about that kit is it comes with this little contraption here. I know you probably was like, what the heck is that? That's designed to hold this into place. So you clamp it here, stick that hose in there so that when you go in the car and start bleeding it, it won't be a problem. I don't know if you can tell, but it's already got bubbles bubbling out already. See the bubbles? So I'm gonna go in the car, start hitting the clutch pedal real slow. That's gonna bench bleed it. That's what we call this, bench bleeding it. After we bench bleed it, we can take this fitting off at the bottom, screw our 10mm fitting back into place, and then we can bleed it from the bottom, from the slave cylinder. And also one of these deals right here is actually making it real nice because it doesn't ratchet. All I gotta do is turn it, pick it up, rotate it again, put it back on there, and basically keep doing that. These are usually used for engine assembly, installing cams, rods, and stuff like that. But hey, this is also a good tool to do this clutch master. You have two options of bleeding the clutch, aka brakes. You can do it manually, meaning that somebody's in the cab, pump it, squeeze it, you know, open the bottom valve on the bottom or whatever. But I got air compressor and I'm gonna put this to use. As you can see, I got the air working with the clear hose. You can see the fluid going through there. I know you can't see it now, but when it first started, I could see it. And then when you get that vacuum kit, it comes with this nice little bottle. And all you do is make sure it's full, keep it in there. And it's basically like filling itself. You can see it kind of pulsating. So we're gonna shut this thing down and we're gonna test the clutch pedal. All right guys, we got the new clutch master installed. All I gotta do is double check the rod free play, which I think is good. But now we need to install our Low Dollar Motorsports 0 to 100 PSI pressure sensor or pressure transducer that we will be using for fuel pressure. Again, here's the sensor. Here's the pigtail that we're gonna have to wire in. It's gonna be 3 wires. And just like I said, man, this dude give you everything you need. Your voltage information, which is this table right here, 0.5 to 4.5 volts. And it also tells you which wire is which. So we got a 5 volt, we got a sensor ground, and then we got a signal that we need to figure out which input wire that we can wire that into on the AEM Infiniti. And just comparing the two, it does look like it is the same thread pitch. That's how you check, put both the threads together. So I'm gonna put a little Teflon paste on this, and then we're gonna screw it in. I got a bundle of scrap wire. I measured out roughly 5 feet. So I need to get 3 wires of my color choice and stretch it out to roughly 5 feet. Now we're to the point where we are ready to wire up our fuel pressure input. Let me show you the wiring so far. We got it wired into the pressure switch. It's hard to tell because the loom is in the way, but I ran it across the loom over to the passenger side. There's a bulkhead right here for the factory wiring that goes into the cabin through the firewall. I had to notch that 2-bolt flange bottom section. If I didn't, it would end up smashing the wires. And then I ran it down here, right here by the ECU. Real quick, a cool thing about this AEM Infiniti, I'm sure it applies to a lot of aftermarket ECUs as well. This thing comes with what they call an auxiliary plug. This plug has 12 pins on it. So make a long story short, this is where you can add stuff or you can configure outputs to control stuff under the engine bay. Like, I don't know, but it's all custom. You can do whatever you want with all these pins. And the good thing about it is you have 12 with the Holly, which is what I got on the 240. You only have like, I think it's like 4 that you can only use. So, or 4 in and 4 out. So total of 8, but this here got a total of 12. So here we over here to the internet. Went over to instructions, go to download instructions, and then it shows you everything that AEM has. We know that we have 93 to 97 Toyota Supra Turbo. They got two options. We're running the Infiniti 5, I believe, maybe even the 7. I'm sure both of them are the same. Go over here to download, which I got it pulled up in the tab already. And when you go down here to like page 11, this right here has basically all the schematics that you're gonna need right here. If you go right down here to fuel pressure, which is what we're wiring up, it tells you the location, it tells you the analog that you need to set it up in the ECU, and it also lets you know that it's on auxiliary 1. You got a little bit of information right here, but make a long story short, we need to go to the auxiliary section. Over here on page 14, as you can tell, this whole column is auxiliary, and guess what we have for pin number 1, like it told us on the schematics. Pin number 1, analog 9, fuel pressure. So we're gonna need this one, which is pin number 1, and we're also gonna need a 5-volt reference, which would be pin number 4, and then we will need the sensor ground, which is number 3. So pin 4, 5 volts, pin 3, sensor ground, pin 1, signal. The AEM Infiniti had this little deal right here, zip tied to the auxiliary plug, and this is everything it comes with. It comes with the pigtail, and then it comes with all of these little terminals, and then it comes with this like little, I don't know what this thing is, but it probably keeps it all secure. So we're gonna go ahead and wire this thing up, and then we're gonna go ahead and install it. And that should be all that we need to do for the wiring of the fuel pressure sensor provided by Low Dollar Motorsports. There goes the final product. Let me plug this back in too before I forget. I thought I was gonna need to ohm it out to find out which one was which, but luckily they had the numbers on the back of the plug. All right guys, that should be roughly the last little bit that we have to do to Jose's Supra before we get on the phone and hook up laptop to laptop via Wi-Fi with Vlad over at National Speed. So if you don't want to miss that episode, stick around. And in the meantime, hey, love one another and try to be kind. Try not to stress about too much stuff that may be going on, like gas prices or whatever, because guess what? Somewhere else is way worse than what it is here right now. Remember that. Be blessed. Thank God for everything you got, because it could be taken at any moment. Love you guys.